Hey there, and welcome back to the Board Game Sherpa, the channel whose goal is to take the fear out of learning new board games and put the fun back in. If you're watching my channel, you probably already know this, but Gen Con 2023 is coming up on August 3rd to 6th in Indianapolis and is one of, if not the biggest, board gaming event of the year, certainly in the United States. Gen Con 2023 will be my 5th time driving up to Indianapolis. It's such a great few days of gaming, but it can also be overwhelming. I'm already starting to hear those worried questions from folks who are either going for the first time or are curious about going but are afraid of being overwhelmed. But don't worry, I've got you covered. In this video, I'll go over 25 practical tips and tricks to help you navigate the bustling crowds and make the most of your Gen Con experience while minimizing stress. It's just what a good board game Sherpa would do. So let's cue the title and begin. First off, Indianapolis gets really crowded during Gen Con week. I've talked to Uber drivers in town, and they look forward to and dread this time of the year. One driver even told me that it gets more busy at Gen Con than during the week of the Indianapolis 500. Why am I telling you this? Well, mainly so you won't get surprised when you get there. If you are really not good in crowds, Gen Con might not be the best place for you. That being said, if you can handle other conventions or mall shopping during Christmas season, you'll be just fine. Okay, first things first, hotels. I would love to tell you how to get a super cheap room at Gen Con, but so far that's eluded me every year. I've been through their hotel lottery system many times and I've yet to get a room through them, even though I jump in their queue at the moment it starts. If you have suggestions, please leave them in the comments. As for me, out of desperation on our first year there, where all the rooms in the convention center were sold out, we found a wonderful hotel out by the airport that had rooms. It was really nice and clean, and the staff were really friendly to us, so we keep going back. If you really want to know which one it is, send me a message. I'd rather not put this one out there publicly. But just know it is not the Motel 6 by the airport. Avoid that one at all costs. My friend stayed there one year and left in the middle of the night to go sleep in his car. Seriously, do a Yelp search on that one. It's scary bad. Now, being in a hotel out by the airport has its downside. It's about 20-30 minutes away from the downtown area. Forget about finding parking downtown this week if you aren't staying at one of the hotels there. An Uber or Lyft will help, but it also means you have to carry things you buy all day until you get back to your hotel. And board games can get heavy. But there is another option. Chance Events has a parking lot nearby which shuttles to the convention center. You can find out about it at facebook.com/chanceparking. It is $66 for the duration of the con, but it's a much easier trip to drop stuff off at your car than heading back to the hotel by the airport. I know I'll be using it this year. Another key thing to do is buy your tickets as soon as possible. I've had mine for a couple of months now. And have them mailed to you. Do not pick them up at will call at the show. I cannot stress that enough. I did that my first year and spent over 2 hours waiting in line to pick up my tickets the night before the show. You'll hear this one in everyone's Gen Con tips, but wear comfortable shoes to the show. And proven comfortable shoes. This is not the place to break in that new pair of sneakers you got. There is a lot of walking at Gen Con. It's a very big convention center, and every year when I check my Steps app, it's well over 10 miles a day. Even if you say, this year I'll cut down my steps. Another tip you'll hear often is to bring water, snacks, and food with you from home. The food options inside the convention center are very limited. They can have long lines, not the highest quality of food, and it's pretty expensive. Yes, you can go outside to the food trucks and downtown Indianapolis eateries, but they get crowded, especially at noon and 6 p.m. or whenever the exhibit hall lets out. Trust me, bring your own foods and drinks. You'll thank me. Also bring Advil. If you plan to eat at one of the nicer restaurants outside the convention center at popular times, make reservations as soon as the restaurant will let you. Each restaurant is different, so give them a call and ask when they'll start taking reservations. Another important thing you need to bring is a backup battery or phone charger. Historically, the internet coverage at the Indianapolis Convention Center is not great, so there's a good chance your phone will be roaming all day, draining your battery. There's also plenty of things to take pictures and video of. Not to mention all the calls and texting to wrangle your friends to get them to a panel, lunch, or gaming event. Last year, my phone needed to be charged fully twice each day at the show. Another important thing to bring is physical cash. I know the world is trying to get away from physical money, but trust me on this one. Not only will you get better deals using physical cash, but you'll also be less likely to overspend on impulse stuff when you know exactly how much cash you have in your pocket to spend. You can always break out the credit cards for planned purchases and emergencies. Saturday is obviously the most crowded day, but it's pretty much crowded every other day as well. If you're not there for the full run of the show, the best day to go will depend on your reasons for wanting to be there in the first place. If you're looking to experience the height of cool Gen Con events and performances like cosplay, music, etc., then go on Saturday. Performers really put out all the stops on Saturday since it's the largest attended day. There's a lot of great stuff on other days too, but that's the big day for performances. Now, if you're looking to buy the hottest games before everyone else, you need to be there at opening on Thursday. The hot games will sell out by Friday. By Sunday, you're probably better off buying whatever games are left at the convention back home at your local game shop, and you won't have to carry them. Which brings me to The early bird doesn't always get the worm. Years ago, I got there super early for the big release of Aiello's King of New York, which they only had a limited amount of games at the convention. Let's say they had 50 units. There was a huge mob, and when the doors opened to the exhibition room, I ran my ass over to the Aiello booth. And I don't run for just anything. I got to the forming line at the same time that everyone else did, and there were already 40 people in line waiting to buy a copy. I found out later that these people ahead of me were already in the exhibition room before the doors opened. They were vendors and the vendor associates who had an unfair advantage. Yes, it was infuriating. I didn't get my copy of the game until it came out in retail stores many months later. I did eventually buy it, but I always had bad vibes about it and never gave it a chance. Bottom line, curb your expectations on getting limited quantity games. The deck is stacked against you, and they made me run for nothing. Since that instant, I still go to the opening of Gen Con on Thursday morning, but there's no way I would ever get in that opening crowd again. I find a nice little spot on the floor above the doors and film the crowd entering the exhibition center every day. It's one of the most amazing spectacles I've ever seen, and I'm obsessed with the flow of humanity through a set of open doors. If you can get there early, I highly recommend seeing it with your own eyes. Now that those administrative tips are over with, here's some of my best tips on making the most of your Gen Con experience. Go online on the Gen Con website and really go through their events list. You'll find a lot of cool panels, tournaments, and game playing events there. Sign up early for the events that interest you, because many of them will sell out. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of events across the 4 days. As it gets closer to August, start watching for the anticipated games at Gen Con 2023 type of videos that your favorite board game YouTubers post. If you're looking to buy a game that none of your friends have, this is where you're going to find out about them. Then, when those doors open on Thursday, you'll have a shopping list. Just remember, you'll probably be standing in line if you go down this path, so make sure to prioritize the games you really want and go get those first. Also, keep in mind that board games are heavy, and if you buy those games in the morning, you'll be carrying them around all day. Unless your hotel room or car is nearby and you can drop them off. So bring or buy a solid and comfortable board game bag. Another thing to do is familiarize yourself with a map of the convention center before the show. It's online at gencon.com. The convention center is a big place with things on multiple levels, and many of the areas look alike, so it's really easy to get spun around in there. Which also explains why Gen Con attendees regularly walk over 10 miles each day, by going the long way around the building. Once Gen Con produces their exhibitor map online, go through it and make a list of the vendors you want to hit and their location number. I make a paper list of the must-see exhibitors and keep that paper in my pocket at the show so I don't forget to hit them. The location number is invaluable in finding things. Not every vendor has a huge sign hanging from the ceiling. Just a heads up that every so often they change their locations last minute and it's not on the printed map. So, it's probably a good idea to get the Gen Con app on your phone to find events, publishers, and vendors. Granted, the internet access there can be spotty, and the app will drain your phone battery by the end of the show, but sometimes it's really helpful and will remind you when your event is about to happen. Just remember that battery charger. If you're going to Gen Con, you really should stop by the Dice Tower table. They usually have cool contests and free stuff, and you get to meet Tom Vassell and see just how tall the dude is in real life. And most, if not all, the on-air staff are around, and they've always been friendly and willing to take selfies. I know I always make time to go see them. One of the things I do at Gen Con is intentionally walk down every single aisle of the exhibition hall and see every table and booth at least once. My friends make fun of me doing this so systematically, but after my first couple of Gen Cons, I get back home to New Jersey and go, damn, I didn't know that company was there. Also, I found so many cool surprises that I would never have thought to look for. No regrets at all. Now, this is a big one. Don't overschedule yourself. Remember, this is supposed to be a fun experience, and if you're booked solid trying to maximize every second of your Gen Con time, are you really having fun, or are you just working hard at something for no salary that you'll eventually need a vacation from? I'm not the board game police here, so do what you want. Just a tip from somebody who's been there and realized his mistakes in the past. Similarly, don't lock yourself into any one thing throughout the show. I know it's easy to get into 4-day campaigns and tournaments, but there's a lot of cool stuff to do at the show, so explore a little and try new things. Speaking of new things, this one is something I still have problems with, but be extra social with people and sign up for demos and things like that. Sometimes the friends you're with don't want to play the games you want to try, so being more social than you normally are will help you find someone who can help you learn a game. Yes, I know it's tough. Believe me, I know. But when I've done it, I've been rewarded with great gaming experiences. When you get back to your hotel at night, go check out the common areas at the hotel. There's a really good chance that you'll find people down there playing the games they bought at Gen Con. And you might just find a game that you like that needs a player. Or you'll find somebody down there to play the game that you just bought. In our hotel away from the downtown area, we really had a great time doing exactly that after the show. And I'm hoping to see some of our new hotel friends this coming year at Gen Con. Before the show, take a look at your favorite game publisher's social media sites. Sometimes they announce that they are bringing in their big gun designers to sign games and talk to gamers. Many of the game publishers have the designers at their booth without announcements too. Ask around, there's a good chance you'll meet the designers of your favorite games. And finally, you'll never see everything at Gen Con. Just accept that. Just have a list going with your priorities and do your best, and you'll have a much better time. All right, that's enough of the show tips. I'd just be repeating myself at this point, but there's one thing I'd recommend in Indianapolis when you aren't at Gen Con proper. Go visit the Indianapolis Motor Speedway track. Nothing's going on there when the race isn't in town, and it should be open to visit. And it's really cool to see it there empty. And when there, visit the Dallera Racing Factory. It's kind of a museum of an in-operation racing company where they show you everything that goes into the making of an Indy car with some great photo ops. I wasn't that interested in Indy 500 before going in there, but I haven't missed watching the race ever since. And that's my list of tips for newbies who are going to Gen Con 2023 for the first time. Hopefully even experienced Gen Con attendees can learn something from this video. If you have a great tip, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And if you see me at Gen Con, say hello and let's take a selfie. If you learned something from this video, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up. It really helped me out and can help bring new players into the hobby, which will help you when you're trying to find people to play your favorite games with. Deal? All right, see you next episode.